Hello, and thank you for tuning in. I'm going to start this episode by going back to what I was talking about in the previous segment, which is Hollywood. And it just seems to be getting deeper, and the deeper it gets, the more frantic people are becoming. And it's really insulting to see so many people come out with allegations like they are so brave. Yet, the truth is they just kept quiet. They participated or just furthered their careers. They condoned all the abuses, and knowing that so many more would become victims, or could become victims. And once they paid their dues, they didn't care about anyone else. They didn't care who else got hurt. Well, that's really sad, and it's actually criminal. By ignoring what they knew, if they truly knew, even if they were just exposed to it, and by allowing it to go on, burying their heads in the sand, if you will. They fueled it, assisted, and they enabled it. So where does that leave us now? Well, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences just removed Harvey Weinstein. Expelled him, if you will. Nothing's been proven, yet they hold an emergency meeting and expel him. This, folks, is them taking us all for fools. They're acting in a movie they expect us all to believe. They seem to think that if they all of a sudden despise this behavior, at least pretend to, then they must just now be aware of it. They must just now be finding out about it. What a load. They're trying to take on the persona of ethical people because they were all party to it. And they expect us to go, oh, they must be innocent since they just now expelled the bad guy. Here's some of what they said on talking about the Harvey Weinstein expulsion. We do so not simply to separate ourselves from someone who does not merit the respect of his colleagues, but also to send a message that the era of willful ignorance and shameful complicity in sexual predatory behavior and workplace harassment in our industry is over. What's at issue here is a deeply troubling problem that has no place in our society. The board continues to work to establish ethical standards of conduct that all Academy members will be expected to exemplify. So I guess what they're saying, or what they want us to believe when they say someone who does not merit the respect of his colleagues, they must be claiming that none of his colleagues knew of all this, and that all are respectable, and he must be the only criminal there. Well, that's a load, and we know it. It's not believable, and I truly hope those complicit to it, those party to it, and everyone else who should have come forward at the onset are served with justice. Nothing can ever erase the damage done here, not just by Harvey, but by the entire Hollywood that nurtured and harbored this environment. Not just A-listers are victims, by the way. They're just the ones with quick access to the media. They're the ones we hear from first. And my guess is that the media knew too. For instance, NBC refusing to go with Ronan Farrow's report. Real news may not have been on their agenda at the time, just storytelling. They didn't want real news from Ronan Farrow. Or how about in 2013, when Barbara Walters vigorously defended the culture when Corey Feldman came forward? Part of her response to his allegations was that he was damaging the entire industry. Really? Forget about the victims, let's defend the industry. It takes guts to come forward with this kind of thing, especially as a victim, and especially in a televised program. And her response was to defend the industry and face slap the victims? All these celebrities take us for idiots. Oh, we didn't know. We don't tolerate that. I only heard rumors. It was all Harvey Weinstein. Just him and no one else. Sure, it'll come out, at least I hope. And this culture of hatred, abuse, power, and arrogance will be exposed and cleaned up. Prison is where they should and need to go. And by all means, don't get the FBI to investigate. My grandchildren will be retired before we get any first timelines or anything significant from them. And then it'll be so diluted with redactions, it'll probably be worthless anyway. We need a private, non-affiliated, non-political investigation. Or we will never bring these people in the industry to justice for their part in this organized crime. All this talk about extreme corruption and abuses in Hollywood brings me to the next topic, or another topic anyway, which is the secession of California from the Union. I believe this is their third attempt at the initiative, and honestly it reeks of a child not getting his or her way. The typical 2-year-old's grocery store tantrum, where the humiliated parents are caught with their toddler flopping around in the grocery store aisles screaming because they aren't getting toys or candy. The legal implications are complicated, to say the least. But if we could all wave our magic wands, we'd probably do so to make the exit a little easier for them. I joke about that. The state is financially mismanaged, though. They seem to just pick out laws of the nation and go the opposite direction just to be different, with no forethought, no planning, no care in the world as to the outcome. As much as I'd like to see that culture and that mindset removed from our union, it's a dishonest opinion on my part. There are many Californians who still honor the union, many that don't deserve to be forced into a situation they want no part of. Now, they may be the minority, I really don't know, but the loudest voices seem to dilute the truth, as always, and this secession seems to be popular with the majority of the loud population anyway. And the media, which we all know, won't report the news. They'll just pick out fragments of the truth and create emotionally driven storylines so they can continue to distract us all from other lies and misrepresentations that they've presented us as news. Now let's imagine what California would do as an independent nation during the wildfires, for instance. Or now, this hepatitis outbreak. I opened my email this morning and voila, California has declared another state of an emergency. Once more, this time for hepatitis, which has already claimed more than 18 lives, at least 18 lives that are reported so far, and hospitalized over 500. In case you didn't know, declaring a state of emergency is basically asking the federal government for assistance and something that they severely lack already in California, and that's money. So while they're drafting a new secession plan, they're all begging for money and assistance from the same federal government that they want to escape. Now, last time I checked, while we were drafting our independence plan as a nation, we didn't go to England and say, please send us help, send us money before we declare our sovereignty. The people of California need to be smart, and I truly don't think the loudest of their population are capable of that. There is something positive that's evolving from this scandal in Hollywood, though. It's the slow but certain unveiling of how deep the real corruption is. The most corrupt and wealthiest in Hollywood gave big money to promote politicians such as the Clintons and the Obamas. Obviously, this let them share the power and reap the benefits. It also put them all in a league together. Big money paid for big deceptions, cover-ups, lies, and in some instances legislation which all fell into place, allowing them to remain unchecked and unaccountable. It is all unraveling. However, the corruption is so deep that it's going to take real effort from Americans to clean house. In my opinion, any loose end left untied will just seed the future for more of the same. And if we don't clean it up now, and clean it up right, will allow them to learn from their mistakes, and it'll be so much harder, if not impossible, to fix in the future. The time to regain our country and our dignity and our morals is now. Later, this will most likely be far, far too out of control. The victims from the past, those of the present, they deserve this. They deserve us to clean this up. And our complicity will only allow for more victims in the future. Okay, the last topic I want to talk about is human trafficking. I came across an article recently which sparked my memory regarding such an important topic. It's a horrible problem, and it's a thriving criminal business, a business of the worst kind, in my opinion. And since the article's not mine, I'll basically provide a link to it on my blog. My blog, you can find that at realintelreport.com. But it's worth a read, as it provides some very valuable information and insights. Just to hit on some of the high points, though, there are hundreds of millions of people trafficked each year. Most of them are young women. However, there's quite a large number of children, both boys and girls, as well as both adult men and women, all races, all ethnic backgrounds. The majority of the victims are abducted, then sold on the black market as slaves. And from the information that I have, most of them are being sold as sex slaves in the Middle East. There is a secret organized crime group, and the only name I could find for them was called Black Death. And they operate primarily in Europe, tend to focus on people that venture off by themselves. However, they've also been known to drug people in social environments such as clubs, bars, and resorts, and then abduct them. Now, this may not be news to you, and I really actually was aware of it. However, like many others, since it hadn't directly affected me or my family, it seemed a bit far off. I seemed a bit detached from it. I really didn't know how widespread it was. It seemed to be something one might read about once in a while, that's all. But it actually affects hundreds of millions of victims every year, and it is estimated to be a $300 billion industry. To me, that's something that needs to be taken a lot more seriously than we already take it. In America, we are now attacking opioids because of the number of people it affects, number of victims. But this industry seems to go a lot less noticed, yet it affects many, many more people. And the problem is present right here in the United States. It will definitely be a topic I'll research more thoroughly. I have children, I have family, and I cannot imagine any of them going through what these victims are forced into. Please take the time to follow the link on my blog. It's not an advertisement, and I don't profit from it. It's actually written in Chinese, so you might need to translate the text, unless you understand Chinese. You can also look me up on Podbean, Blog Talk Radio. The links are also on my blog. My blog again is realintelreport.com. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter at Real Intel Report. Well, that's all for this segment. Please let me know your comments, your feedback, and suggestions. Thank you for listening, and please check back soon.